Hello everyone, I'm Angre and today I'm going to be presenting on the programming in Java topic types of loops in Java. So let's begin. Introduction to loops in Java. Looping in programming languages has become a feature which facilitates the execution of set of instructions or functions repeatedly while some condition evaluates to true. So loop executes some block of code from the particular loop repeatedly and many times until the condition of the loop has become true. Loops allows you to execute a group of statements or a statement multiple times. So Java provides three ways for executing loops. All these ways provide basic functionality, but they differ in syntax and condition checking time. So the three loops are for loop, while loop, and do while loop. So we will be talking about them in the next slide. So the first one is for loop. For loop provides a concise way of writing the loop structure. So it explains the loop structure in a brief yet detailed way. Unlike a while loop, the statement consumes the initialization, condition and increment decrement in one line in one small bracket, thereby providing a shorter, easy to debug structure of looping. So it's easier to understand and also shorten execution time. So the syntax is for initialize condition, where you can initialize the condition. Okay, the second will be testing the condition, and then the third one will be increment or decrement, followed by the statements to be executed. So here is a flowchart of how the for loop is executed. So it will start, then it will initialize, then it will give a condition to be checked, and if the condition is true, it will execute the statement and do the increment or decrement, and if it's false, it will end the for loop structure. Explanation and example of for loop. Initialization condition. Here we initialize the variable in use or which is going to be used. It also marks the start of the for loop. An already declared variable can be used or a variable can be declared inside the initialization condition. Testing condition. It is used to test the exit condition for a for loop. It must return a boolean value that is true or false. It is also called an entry control loop as the condition is checked prior to the execution of the loop statements of the loop. Statement execution. Once the condition is evaluated to true, the statements of the loop body are executed of the for loop. Increment and decrement. It is used for updating the variable for the next iteration. Loop termination. When the condition becomes false, the loop terminates, marking the end of the life cycle of the for loop. So here is an example of for loop. So the for in bracket int x is equal to 2, which is the initialization condition. X is lesser than or equal to 4, which is the testing condition, and the increment x plus plus. So in the statement will be system.out.println value of x, and so it will print out the value of x with the conditions we have mentioned. So the second one is while loop. While loop is a control flow statement that allows code to be executed repeatedly based on a boolean condition. So it repeats the loop structure until a boolean condition is met, which is true or false. The while loop can be thought of as a repeating if statement. So the syntax is while in bracket condition parenthesis the code block which is supposed to be executed. So here is a flowchart of the while loop, how it is performed. To start, it will check the condition. If it's true, it will repeat the condition. Otherwise, if it's false, it will end the statement. Explanation and example of while loop. So the while loop starts with the checking of the condition inside the statement. So if it is evaluated to true, then the loop body statement is executed. Otherwise, the first statement following the loop is executed. For this reason, it is also called as entry control loop. Once the condition is evaluated to true, it will execute the statement in the loop body. So normally the statements also contain an update value for the variable being processed for the next iteration. So when the condition becomes false, the loop terminates, which marks the end of the life cycle of the while loop. An example of while loop is given here. So int x is equal to 1 is the statement, while x less than or equal to 4 is the condition to test. In the parenthesis is we're going to print the value of x and then increment. So while the condition is true, it will print out the value and keep incrementing it. So the third and final one is do while loop. Do while is similar to while loop with the only difference that it checks the condition after the statement is executed. Therefore, it's also called as exit control loop. Unlike while loop, it checks the loop structure after the statements are executed. So the syntax is do, in the parenthesis the statement, while, and then the condition. So the flowchart explains it this way. It starts with the statement, then it will check the condition. If it's true, it will play the statement again and check the condition again. But if it's false, it will end the loop. An example of do while loop. So do while loop starts with the execution of the statements inside the body. There is no checking of any conditions for the first time inside the loop. So after the execution of the statements and the update of the variable value, the condition is checked for true or false. If it's evaluated true, the next iteration of the loop starts. But when the condition becomes false, the loop terminates, which marks the end of its life cycle. So it is important to note that do while loop will execute statements at least once before any condition is checked. Therefore, it is an example of an entry controlled loop. An example of do while loop is int x is equal to 1, do bracket system.out.println value of x, x increment while x is less than or equal to 10. So first it will print out the statement and increment once, and then it will check the condition and increment until the condition is met. Thank you. Have a nice day.